Thank you for staying with us. Now, the leaders of the coup in Gabon have now named Republican Guard Chief General Brice Oligui Nguema as transitional president after the military seized control in the week of elections. We have more in this report.
Le Gabonais est garant de la protection des institutions.
Africa woke up today with another shocking news of yet again a coup in Gabon. President Ali Bongo had been announced the winner of the country's just concluded presidential election on Saturday. That announcement was to authenticate his third term in office after 14 years of long-running leadership. President Ali Bongo had ruled Gabon for 14 years. He took over from his father, who had ruled for 42 years, bringing the leadership of the Bongos in Gabon to over half a century. But in what looks like a final speed breaker, the military announced in the early hours of today a takeover. The coupists say their leadership starts now.
Peuple gabonais est garant de la protection des institutions. Avons décidé de défendre la paix en mettant fin au régime en place. À cet effet, les élections générales du 26 août 2023 ainsi que les résultats tronqués sont annulés. Les frontières sont fermées jusqu'à nouvel ordre. Toutes les institutions de la République sont dissoutes.
The announcement of Gabon's presidential election result on Saturday was rejected by civil society groups, which described it as completely fraudulent. Already, citizens of the Central African nation have taken to the streets in support of the military coup. Some say the nation must have fresh breath of democratic transition, not family leadership. Meanwhile, Gabon's ousted leader, Ali Bongo Ondimba, reportedly under house arrest, is calling for help.
Tell them to make noise, For the people here have arrested me and my family. My son is somewhere, my wife is in another place, and I'm at the residence. Right now, I'm in the residence and nothing happening. Nothing is happening. I don't know what's going on. So I'm calling you to make noise, really.
Some African nations have in recent times been troubled by coups. Mali witnessed a coup in 2020. The Republic of Chad, Guinea, Sudan also witnessed coups in 2021. Burkina Faso in 2022, and recently the Republic of Niger. Jacqueline Ogo, TVC News.
Well, in a related development, President Bola Tinubu has said he is communicating with world leaders on the crisis in Niger Republic and the unfolding situation in Gabon. The president also said he is watching closely with deep concern the socio-political stability and the autocratic contention apparently spreading across different regions on the African continent.
The President affirms that the rule of law and a faithful recourse to constitutional resolutions and instruments of electoral dispute resolution must not at any time be allowed to perish from our great continent. To this end, the President is working very closely and continuing to communicate with other heads of state in the African Union toward a comprehensive consensus on the next steps forward with respect to how the crisis in Gabon will play out into how the continent will respond to the contagion of autocracy we are seeing spread across.
Joining us in the studio is a security consultant, Darlington Umoru. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Morning.
I understand. Don't worry, I understand. I also have here in the studio with me military veteran and security consultant, Dr. Roy Ohidiebe. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. It's always a pleasure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, let me begin with you, Darlington. We woke up suddenly to find this news about a coup in Gabon, and it has become a concern for a majority of persons living on the continent and even outside the continent, and they have been reacting, wondering what really is, driving these coups that we have seen across several countries, African countries in recent times. What the military in Gabon said was that they were doing this in the defense of peace and that the just concluded election did not reflect hope for the people. And so they came to intervene. And the question is it up to the military to intervene in a political process?
And the answer is a capital no.
Right.
Absolutely no. The military has constitutional responsibility in everywhere they find themselves in countries. It is not the duty of the military to be involved in political activities. They too know it, that they are not meant to take over power or be in power. That's why oftentimes one of the excuses they will give to you is to draft a transitional team, that will settle some things they refer to as abnormalities and then eventually hand over power to the civilians. To me, like I said in one other electronic media, one of my theses at the time was on military in power, in governance, and specifically in Africa. It's a drawback anytime you find the military taking over power, because that negates their constitutional role to be played in a country. Theirs is to protect the territorial integrity of the country where they find themselves. Now, if there are problems, particularly, you see the military in most times, they come, they take over power. It's like, it has become like an anthem. They sing about the same stories, giving reasons why they need to take power.
That they are there in the interest of the people.
The first thing they do is to suspend the constitution of that country. The constitution that they also belong to. They suspend it and they want to rule by decree. Okay? That's number one. Number two, look at what happened in Niger. ECOWAS, UN, AU, and the rest of them are still trying to negotiate with that team, that junta. And now they are beginning to talk about the number of months or years they want to stay in power before they hand over. Now, if you know you cannot consistently remain in power, why take over power? We have seen situations where even this military, when they take over power, most of them end up being more corrupt than the government they are taking over from. We have seen situations where we've had military in power, and then at the end of the day, where was the growth of the economy? What were the improvements beyond what we are seeing? I'm not saying that civilian administrations have been perfect, but they have to pass through series of processes to get it right. What has happened in Gabon apparently is the fault of the constitution of Gabon. The constitution did not limit tenures. Understand it and take it and listen again. The constitution of Gabon provides that as much as you are re-elected, during election, you are good to continue to rule. And then each tenure is supposed to be for 7 years. And then only recently, Ali and the parliament had worked on reducing that to 5 years, which has not taken effect, which has not started. And so as much as the Constitution says you have to continue to be there, as much as your people elect you, unlike what you have in Nigeria, where you must not serve beyond 2 tenures or 2 terms. It's not the same thing in Gabon. So who do you blame? If you say Omar lasted for 41 years, who do you blame? The Constitution allowed him. And so if the parliament...
Who manipulated that Constitution?
They have a parliament. They have an assembly. The parliament is the body that makes laws.
Absolutely.
If the executive had influence or lobbied,
yes,
and the parliament benefited, and the people are aware and they didn't raise any eyebrow, is it for the military to be lobbied or on their own to take over power and then still hand over without doing anything about the same constitution? Does the military have the power to review the constitution?
No.
Aside from a really now decrease, as soon as they leave, what happened? The decrease fades with them. And as much as the decrease fades with them, the constitution comes back. And then you continue to have people, even if you remove Ali.
So at the end of the day, nothing has changed.
Nothing will change.
Right.
Nothing will change up until the constitution. Many of us have not been able to study what this problem in some of these African countries really are. In Gabon, you say, or as much as your people elect you, you continue to remain. If they elect you for all through your life, if you have your way, and of course, when we say election, yeah, we know some of these elections are rigged. And one of the problems that led to this, the military is hinging their reasons for taking over power.
And the outcome of the election?
The outcome of this last election that took place on Saturday.
Yeah.
And then the people are celebrating the military. What have the people been? Did the people go to street to say, let us correct this anomalies in the constitution?
Well, not all of them are celebrating, but a majority is reported to be celebrating. And maybe because the 2 persons they have known for a major part of their lives has been Ali Bongo and his father.
And who has sustained them? The Constitution.
The Constitution.